What's up, Facebook? What's up, YouTube? What's up, Twitter? Hey, it's your boy here in the house. Hey, I got my main man with this little good recruiting stuff today. My man Luke here, man. Luke, how you doing today?
Doing great. Glad to be
Yes.
here.
Hey, man. Well, I don't know if Bobby told you, Catfish told you, man. I had surgery yesterday, and he called me today and told me we was gonna be doing this today, and I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna put a smile on the day and get this done, right? Because stuff I like, the guys that I like to talk about, the LOIs, letter of intent. We got the guys that come in here. We know what's coming, and throw me a big percentage of kids that come in on the early signing period. Come on, man, talk to me about recruiting. What's going on with the Vols recruiting, man?
Well, for the most part, it went about like we expected it to go. Tennessee made some very big improvements, especially in some positions of need, and they didn't really lose a lot of people. Not a lot of people jumped off the ship. So it was a very successful early signing period thus far for Tennessee. You picked up guys like Keyshawn Lawrence, who have already been committed for a long period of time, and you officially have them now signing their letter of intent. Guys that are going to be game changers at the next level. You have Amari Thomas, who, of course, committed a couple of weeks ago, making it official. You've got Tyler Barron, who was thought to be trending towards Tennessee pretty much all year, and it finally commits to Tennessee now, signing his letter of intent. He's coming to Tennessee as a defensive end. So all around, it's very successful. Of course, Morgan Joseph, he commits to Tennessee just an hour ago over Florida State and Florida, and pretty
Love
much it's
it.
been a very successful period.
Well, of course, I love it, man. And on the defensive side of the ball, I saw a lot of kids, man. It's the part of football that you gotta have is those defensive players. Of course, we got the trio from Memphis down there. I just really looked at them today and saw these guys are pretty big guys for linebackers. So, these are guys that, when I see that size, they can do a lot on defense, whether they're playing linebacker, outside of back, or, with the transformation of how coaches do these, they can switch to some positions and give us some, speed rush type of guys because, it's 6'2", 250, that's pretty big for linebacker these days because of the way offenses have the defense on the field so long or running. He might be one of those guys that can be a good speed rusher. I love him being a linebacker, being that we're losing a little bit at linebacker this year. So who do you think that we got today that would be, is a shocker that we actually got him?
Well, like I said, it went pretty much about like we expected it to go. There weren't a lot of big surprises that really jumped out at us like, wow, I really wasn't expecting that. But one going into Tennessee that a lot of Vol fans were really not confident about was Morgan Joseph out of Florida, the one I previously mentioned
Mm-hmm.
that committed to Tennessee over Florida State and Florida. It was thought to be between Tennessee, Florida State. He just went on official to Florida State. He was trending towards Florida State. Tennessee was starting to feel a little down about it. And then when I woke up this morning, all of this morning, woke up to a flood of crystal balls to Tennessee, and they just kept on coming. And then, of course, he finally does commit to Tennessee. That was probably the biggest surprise. Another surprise was that Jimmy Callaway, who's been committed to Tennessee for a pretty long period of time, some SEC programs were going after him some, mainly Florida and Auburn. And it surprised a lot of people that he ended up staying in the boat with Jeremy Pruitt. A lot of people thought, okay, he might flip. He might go to Auburn. He might go to Florida. It was a very big retain by Tennessee there. So those are the two that really jump out at me as, hey, I'm not sure these two were considered locks going into today.
Okay, well, and I think we actually got two quarterbacks signed this today as well. The kid out of Mississippi, that's where I'm from, where I play ball, and I actually called a couple of guys and back in Mississippi, they told me that this kid is the real deal. They're not sure if he will play quarterback when he's here because he's a great athlete. And with me, what type of offense that we run, that can be one of those guys that could get in there and change up the wildcat situation. Being that he does, pass the ball well, run the ball well, and with the offensive line, that's the huge part that I'm hoping next year that the offensive line is much more improved this year, and I'm hoping we keep everything intact that we have because there's a possibility that Trey may leave. Back to him,
Yeah.
and of course, we signed our big guy, the guy that we've been expecting to come in, the quarterback out of Georgia over there, and he finally did it, and we got him. So we can talk about the kid now. So what do you think, man? I mean, overall, what they're thinking maybe what 15, top 15 right now in recruiting.
Around that area, 247. Right at the time we were recording this, hasn't
Okay.
been 15. I expect that to vary because the
Okay.
day's not over.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm cool with that. I mean, I don't care about the rankings and stuff or anything, but like, it looks good, especially for the fans and everything. And I like it where we're at just because I like to be the underdog all the time. And Tennessee right now, they could use that to their advantage right now. And hopefully they are using that in the recruiting world as well because, you know, coaches can say so much to these kids to make them love their school. But if they don't give them a reason why, what it's going to take to come here to be something, just like what was the kid, Henry, the linebacker, where he told everybody, hey, we're building something. There's something that I've seen, and I love what he said that because that's what Coach told me when I first came on my recruiter visit. He was saying that we're building something that's going to be special here. And I listened to him because my head coach in football told me the exact same thing. He said, they have Mr. Archie kid down there. He's doing well. They have a couple of the kids that defense is already good, and they built the foundation. Now, they get kids in like you, and now they got kids coming like the trio, the linebackers coming from Memphis that can help fill the void with Patootie leaving. Because that's a huge loss for us. I mean, we may not think that, but by us losing him at middle linebackers, that is huge. You're talking about 120 tackles this year, a man that really stepped up. We're going to need some linebackers to fill some shoes this year.
For sure. And you mentioned the rankings. One thing that I think is interesting is just how much these rankings are varying from organization to organization. Rivals has them at 11th. 247 at the time we're recording this has them at 15th. ESPN has them at 21st.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, these are really varying. So depending on what organization you prefer, technically I prefer 247 Sports. But depending on which one you go by, the ranking will be different. And once the dust settles, we might have a clear ranking, but it's going to be a minute. And a lot of these schools are close. But something to remember is just how good the SEC is at recruiting. If you're in the top 10, there's not a guarantee that you're going to be in the top 5 in the SEC.
That's true.
So Tennessee needs to be held at a higher standard because they're in the SEC. Just because you're a top 15 class does not mean you're going to have a top half class in the SEC, which is something that definitely Tennessee should have.
Well, I'm right there with you, Luke. You said it perfectly. I've never been a star ranker when it came to recruiting. It's to me, it's always it's a glamour situation to make everybody look better. I don't even remember if I even had a star when I came out and recruiting. I mean, I just knew that, it was like you're the top player in your state or something like that. And that's the only rankings I ever knew. I think when I came out, I was like number 2 or number 3 in my state coming out. I didn't know anything about stars, and I don't remember even when I got here, when like Al Wilson, I didn't know stars. Even when Peyton, I didn't know. I just knew he was the Gatorade Player of the Year type of thing. I didn't know anything about the star. He was probably a 5-star because he got that. So stars are made once you hit campus. Once you get into the weight room, that's when you begin to earn your stars as a volunteer, wherever you go in the SEC. What we have coming back with the leadership, that is what's going to be huge for this class that's coming in, because some of these guys are going to have to contribute this year because we're going to lose a few key pieces, but we're still going to need some of these guys to come in and compete right away, especially over there on the offensive side of the ball. Now, the kid out of Maryville that I saw over there, man, I haven't seen a big back like that in a long time. Actually, I saw Jabari Davis on Twitter today, and he was like, hey, Tennessee got another big back, and hey, watch out. So, being that Jabari has his hands on that kid like that, I mean, he may have taught him some things, and that's going to be huge, especially with the competition at running back coming next season.
Yeah, for sure. And you're talking about T. Hodge. You know,
Yes.
he is only – and I think we can relate this back to rankings. T. Hodge, by most, is considered one of the brightest spots of Tennessee's class, but he's only a 3-star on all sides.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I think that's ridiculous. Just, you know, watching his film, watching him play, he's not a 3-star. He is going to have more success than the average 3-star at this level. I think pretty much everyone associated with Tennessee knows that. This is just another reason to not go based off the star rankings. Don't just go to 247.
Oh, I'm with you there. I mean, I'm most definitely.
Tennessee finished with the 7th class, 15th actual recruits. Don't just look at the rankings.
Well, I like what you're saying, Luke. I like that. You know, I didn't really look at 247 until you told me to, and ever since you told me about that, everything's been true. You know, I've been, you know, they may be off by the timing of things, but as far as like their, you know, their sources and everything, it's been legit since you told me about it. You know, it's something that, you know, I'm not a believer in what people say unless I see it myself, but I like them. You know, I mean, I haven't subscribed to anything because I got you now.
Yeah, and just one more thing. You mentioned the quarterback situation coming in at Tennessee. They brought in Jimmy Holiday from Mississippi, Madison, Mississippi, who nobody thought a couple of weeks ago was going to come here. And then all of a sudden you wake up a week ago, wait, Tennessee's training for another quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. That's what's wonderful about recruiting. It's so unpredictable. You never truly know which way it's going to go. And now Tennessee has an absolutely loaded quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And I love it.
In terms of pure number of quarterbacks, you have Jarrett Garantano, exactly. You have J.T. Stroud, Brian Maurer, Kasim Hill. Now you bring in Jimmy Holiday. It's just wonderful to have this number of quarterbacks. Now, obviously, some of them are going to transfer, but that's that's one of my takeaways. Is just how many quarterbacks Tennessee now has on their roster. It's just kind of absurd.
Well, I'll tell you this here, Luke. I mean, I remember when, you know, I played. I remember we had a lot of quarterbacks. I mean, these guys were on scholarship. You know, I remember we had, you know, what was it? I say it was Peyton, T, Barney Veazey, Joey Matthews, a couple of the kids, and I'm like, it's always been 4 or 5 quarterbacks on the roster, and all of a sudden, you know, you only hear about 2 quarterbacks on each rosters now. You know,
Exactly.
it doesn't make sense, you know, because, you know, just because you're not starting doesn't mean you may not get opportunity. You know, if T would have left when he knew he wasn't going to play for 2 years or whatever, or a year, whatever, what would we be like if T would have transferred? I mean, I don't know if we'd had a quarterback to play then, you know. And for instance, I'm trying to think, what was the other kid? The kid that left Clemson. Look at him. I mean, it didn't turn out like he thought it would. I mean, because of the injuries or whatever. But if he would have just stuck it out, guess what? He was back in the game the next week.
Yep.
You know, because of the injuries. I mean, he got to understand the reason why he lost his position. He got hurt. You know,
Yeah.
It's called when you get hurt and somebody else come in. You got to earn your stripes back, and that's what I miss. And I'm hoping that our staff is doing just that.
Exactly. And, you know, I wrote an article about this on volunteerroadshow.com a while back. It was about how that mentality of, you know, you don't win the starting job, the second string transfers out to another school. Now there's this bigger gap between the first string and the third string. And that is a lack of depth that you see in today's college football that was just not apparent 20 years ago. But when you were playing. And, you know, that affects the quality of football being played. You just have bigger spots between depth charts, especially at the quarterback situation. I think Jeremy Pruitt's trying to break that and fix that.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping so, man. You know, that's what I'm glad that we finally got a chance to talk about recruiting because, you know, everybody always keep asking me, hey, what about this kid coming here? What I said, you know, and I keep saying the same thing. I said, I don't even talk about these kids until they're either on campus or they finally sign a letter of intent. Commitment is no such thing when it's called a commitment. Because commitments these days are just like, well, I was about to say, potholes. Everybody has one. But, commitments are easy to be broken in college football. Until you sign a dotted line, you can't really say who's coming to the school. Just like you said about the kid out of Madison, Mississippi there. No one thought he was coming, but guess what? He signed and we got him, and he's going to come here and play, man, because these guys that I've talked to, they say he's the real deal.
Yeah. And, I'm not sure he'll play at quarterback just because of the pure amount of depth they have there right now. But if he does, that's a really big dual threat. I don't think defenses are going to be able to stop him through the ground. We'll see how it plays out. But so just moving away from the early signing period, I'm going to mention this real quick. Just so Tennessee, the majority of their class is obviously already signed, but one name to watch for in the future, and he's already announced he's not signing during the early signing period. And there's been a lot of speculation. This is 5-star Darnell Washington. He's a tight end from Las Vegas. Nobody can cover this guy in high school. Like 6'6". Tennessee, it's thought to be down to between Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, and Miami are the dark horses there. So Tennessee's in there with the big boys for him.
Man,
that is the name that Tennessee fans are circling. Yeah.
I love for that something like to happen, man. But I just wish we can use our tight ends much more, man. I mean, that's what I miss about having a pocket present quarterback that use all the weapons and things like that, and not having like a designated player to throw to all the time, and having a tight end as an option. Let's start off with the tight end being a priority, and that's what I miss about the tight end position. It is the forgotten position in college football.
Yeah, and I think that Darnell Washington, whatever program he chooses to go to, he's going to change that mold. He's going to make an impact. He's not just a blocker. He can block, but he's a very good receiver. Now, like I said, nobody can cover this guy in high school. If he chooses Tennessee, which I would say right now, I'd say it's fairly even between Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. Probably Tennessee and Georgia are the two front runners right now. If he chooses to go to Tennessee, then that's an immediate impact in year one after losing Dominic Wood-Anderson.
Wow. I hope you're right, Luke. I hope you're right, man. Well, man, hey, we're going to get out of here, man. I mean, I'm glad you came on and shared your thoughts, man, because you got a lot of knowledge in this side of this business that I'm starting to learn, man. And thank you once again, man.
Thank you. You can read the latest at volunteerroadshow.com when it comes to Tennessee's recruiting class or basically anything ball related. So be sure to check that out too.
You heard him, guys. VolunteerRoadshow.com, man. Check Luke out, man. We always he always have stuff that he's put out there, and he puts stuff out there a lot sooner than most people. So hey, check it out. Until next time, guys. Go Vols.